Hey guys, Magnus Robert here, bringing you another review video. Now, I'm finally going to be reviewing the updates. Obviously, I've covered all of them through like premium gameplay anyway, but I want to actually do like a solid review for both the Black Friday and the Atom Smasher, aka Thanksgiving update. So the reason why I like to separate the two is because I do think they, for the most part, they are two separate updates. One has, they both have separate price tracks. Black Friday has its mystery boxes as well. And, if you want to compare it to other mini updates, I think it's fair to separate this one from Black Friday so it doesn't give it an advantage over other mini updates, nor does it give it a disadvantage, because Black Friday sometimes tends to be terrible. So I want to just judge today the Atom Smasher event on its own, disregarding any of the Black Friday stuff. So let's get into it. So I think this update is pretty boring, pretty bad, and I don't like it too much. There is some cool things in here, don't get me wrong, but we're going to be discussing that all today. Starting with the prize track, let's talk about that. So let's talk about structure and theme mainly as well when we discuss this prize track. So I don't think the prize track's like... Let's also talk about structure and theme whilst we talk about this prize track. So I think structure-wise, this update isn't actually that bad in terms of like the way that it structures. It starts with a decoration, a building, another decoration, another building, and then a character. So I think the way it flows, I quite like. The theme, I suppose, is based off a Season 33 episode that I have still yet to watch, I do apologise, but from what I can gather, it's not particularly a well-received episode. Apparently, it's one of the worst ones of Season 33, which tends to be a season that people go crazy over, and I actually don't understand. Like, I've watched some of the good episodes from Season 33, the supposed good episodes, like the Marge and Homer one, when they're in the woods. I just don't like them very much. I don't know. I just don't see the hype. I think they're better than, like, some of them, but they're not that much better. Anyway, moving on. Let's skirt away from my critiques of the show. So the first prize is the choke cam, and honestly it's actually a really cool decoration. I think this one is just such an awesome decoration to have, and it's got some really cool little animations on it. The Tex Ida Football Academy, I thought this looked pretty generic when I first kind of saw it in the spoilers, but you know what, I think it pops out. I think it actually stands out on its own. It's a nice building. It is a really cool building. I think it's yeah, I think that one's awesome. I have absolutely no complaints over it. I don't think it looks too generic at all. I think it stands out on its own. Then you got Grayson Mathers' sports car. I mean, this is hit or miss. I don't mind it being in the prize track. I do find it sometimes a bit annoying when they don't add, characters' cars in the game. Like, they'll do some sort of event on a character, or they'll do like an episode where there's like a really cool car and they don't bother adding the car. So I'm actually kind of cool with them adding the car, to be honest. Then the Sports Wardies Center. I saw some people say that it looks stupid or it looks dumb. I think it looks fine, to be honest. I kind of like the sort of half oval shape of it. It makes it a little bit unique. Most buildings kind of have that rectangular structure to them or something. So the fact that it's got a different shape, I do kind of like. Could it be a bit bigger? Yeah, but I quite enjoy it, to be honest. I think that one's a good building. And then obviously it ends with Caitlin, who I thought was a pretty underwhelming, boring character. But yeah. Let's, I suppose, speaking of her character, let's talk about the other characters. Yeah, so Grayson Mathers is the other one. So, of course, Caitlin is like the fiance and business manager of Grayson Mathers, as I believe it. And she's also some sort of like a social media star as well. I found her just egregious. Like I don't know. Like I often find it weird when shows try to replicate like social media stars, because I just think that they always don't do it justice. And I think this one, just from her tapped out appearance alone, I just didn't get that sense. She kind of seems like like an old person trying to be hip. Grayson Mathers, I think, is a step above Caitlin, but not by much. I think they're both pretty boring. I think animation-wise, Caitlin has one good animation. Grayson Mathers are both like meh, whereas like Caitlin has like one pretty good one and one meh one. So I think like animation-wise, they're not bad. Overall. I just think yeah, they're just kind of very forgettable. I think that's my biggest gripe with them, really. They don't look particularly interesting. You know, they're very, especially Caitlin, a very generic design. At least Grayson Mavis has the sportswear on, you know. And I just think questline-wise, it was very boring. And animations, yes, they're not terrible, but it's only one good part of the character. So I just wasn't too keen on both of these dudes, to be honest. Yeah, pretty underwhelming, and not, and you know, any characters I really know of, mainly because I haven't watched the episodes, so it's my own fault. But yeah, they just don't really stand out. They don't make me go want to watch the episode, that's for sure. I've already pretty much talked about the whole update's content anyway when I looked at the prize track, so I may as well quickly just talk about the building that Grayson Mavis comes with, which is of course the Springfield Atom Stadium. So I just want to sort of say that this was a building that I really wanted in the game for a long time. It was definitely what I think it was in my top 10 list for sure, yeah. But I called it the Buzz Cola Dome because this building's kind of had several different names, like the Buzz Cola Dome, the Buzz Cola Arena, the Atoms Stadium. Don't really care too much about the name. I think part of me wanted Buzz Cola Dome just to have, you know, a reference to Buzz Cola in the game, but it's not a big deal at all. The Atom Stadium is fine in terms of name, but I just think the look of it looks really crap. I mean, look at it in the show. This is a picture of it in the show. It just looks huge. It's meant to be a big ass stadium. Like the people look tiny, and it doesn't even compare to like other stadiums we have in the game. It's just way too small. It's kind of something I've noticed recently is a lot of buildings they're condensing, and I'm not sure if this is like something to do with complaints, because I know people in the past have complained about like really tall skyscrapers and stuff, and, you know, saying that it's hard to design them, and I think yeah, sometimes it is hard to design big very tall buildings, but it's cool to have them. You know, it's a designing it's a design game. It's a tycoon, and I think part of the fun of it, at least for me, is finding a way to decorate such big eyesores, you know, and making them fit into your town, but also not have them covering up other designs. I don't know. I just think it's part of the fun. And when you have like buildings that are just scaled weirdly and inconsistently, I wouldn't have a problem if all the buildings were, you know, if all the stadiums were scaled down and you know, all like the hospital was scaled down and things like that. I wouldn't have a problem with it. My issue is like it's just inconsistencies. So my biggest issue with Taptoe as a whole is inconsistencies. Like for example with doppelgangers, if they just stuck with any doppelgangers were going to be separate characters, not costumes, then that's fine. But make it consistent, you know? So, yeah, I'm just not too keen on this building, really. I think it's a bit of a letdown. For a building that I really wanted in the game, it's kind of sad that it's a bit ugly. And I think I've ran out of things to say, to be honest. There's not really much more to add to this update. I mean, overall, the actual Thanksgiving, the Atom Smasher update, is just very forgettable. And I think in the podcast I said, like, Thanksgivings I tend to not have too much of an issue with. I think looking back, that was very silly of me to say. I think in the moment I couldn't think of a real answer, because I think most annual events tend to have, like, some good ones. You know, classic updates were really good. Like, there's a lot of classic Thanksgiving updates that are really good, but also a lot of crap ones. Same with like Christmas and Halloween and Valentine's Day and Easter, and I mean I think the only ones that aren't too bad are like St. Patrick's Day updates and 4th of July updates and Pride updates, just because they tend to be very short and sweet anyway. So yeah, I don't know. I think this was a dud for a Thanksgiving update. It's nowhere near the level of Northward Bound, although I wasn't too keen on the prize track of Northward Bound. I mean the expansion stuff was awesome, but the prize track I wasn't too that bothered about anyway. And then the other update before that was Blogsgiving, I believe. I think Blogsgiving is probably better. Yeah, better than this, for sure. I'm trying to think. I think this might be the worst Thanksgiving update. Is it as bad as All American Auction? Oh, I do you know what? I don't know. Because at least there is like that one there is a cool building. I'd have to maybe rank. That might be a cool video idea, ranking Thanksgiving updates. I don't know if I've done that in a while. I need to do like Christmas and Halloween, but Christmas and Halloween are like a lot of work. I gotta like do a lot of researching and looking through all the old updates and, you know, trying to remember stuff. Thanksgiving, it tends to be a bit easier because they tend to be quite, you know, small updates. Another thing that I just kind of want to comment on is splash screen. They normally have a special splash screen for a Thanksgiving. Even though it's a mini update, they tend to, design something. Obviously, last year we got the Northward Bound splash screen, and the year before that, they tend to just have like Homer running away from turkeys or something. This year, they just didn't bother with a splash screen. It's really weird. Kind of just more evidence of EA's kind of neglect and laziness. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's so true. It's just, there is no splash screen. It's really weird. Obviously, quest lines and stuff are all like 3 parts for the characters, which is very disappointing. Yeah, no effort really put into this update, I feel. I think it's been a bit, not rushed, it just feels like, no love and care was put into it. It was just kind of like, well, we got to move on to Christmas soon, so let's just shit something out, basically. So, yeah, not too keen on it, but there you go. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Tell me your thoughts on the update, and I shall see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.